Ren's snowy stepbro Dine is said to be the worst out of the paid moons, including Titan. Is that true? Let's find out. Here's a quick overview of Dine. It has a risk level of S. It costs 600 doubloons to orbit it, compared to 550 of Ren's and 700 of Titan. The interior is 98% mansion and 2% facility. Like with Ren's, you can follow the lights. Carrying nothing, this would take 31 seconds or around 40 in-game minutes. Remember that real seconds doesn't convert to the same in-game time every game. Here are the times with a pro flashlight, which weighs 5 pounds, and a pro flashlight with a shovel, which in total weighs 14 pounds. The shotgun weighs 16 pounds, so the timing for that is nearly the same. The second option is this other path on the left, which saves about 3 seconds. Carrying nothing, it takes about 28 seconds or around 33 in-game minutes. You can save even more time by jumping here before the ship lands. Make sure to hug the cliff so you don't take fall damage. With a pro flashlight and shovel, you'll get there around 8:15 AM. The fire exit is on top of this cliff. You can use an extension ladder or a jetpack to reach the top. But really, that's not necessary, as you can do some parkour to reach the top instead. When carrying nothing, this takes 21 seconds or 30 in-game minutes. You can go on this hill here, rest about 80% of your stamina, then run and jump. Continue running and spamming jump to get to the top of this hill. Similar to Rent, there is a max outdoor power of 6. What can spawn are eyeless dogs with a power level of 2, earth leviathans with 2, forest keepers with 3. The max number of entities is 3, which is a combination of leviathans and dogs. So like 2 leviathans and 1 dog. All of them have power level 2. They add up to the max, which is 6. But if there's a forest keeper that takes up 3 of the power, then there can only be 1 other entity that can spawn alongside it. So like 1 forest keeper and 1 dog. Here's the spawn table. Earth Leviathan and forest keeper spawn chances are flipped and rent. So here in Dine, you'll face more dune worms, which is easier in my opinion. Leave a comment if you guys agree or disagree. These guys will start spawning at around 3 PM. Dine's max power of 6 is one of the least in the game, tied with Vow and Rent. So this means fewer entities to worry about, but getting back from main to ship is kind of treacherous because the 2 paths are long and there's not too many obstacles for you to use against forest keepers. So that's why I think they're tougher than the dune worms. Dine has a max indoor power of 15, which is 5 more than Rent. It is slightly fewer than Titan. These entities will start spawning around 9 AM. Here's the spawn table for Dine. Compared to Ren, the spawn chances are more evened out. The most common entity is Jester, so it's far more dangerous to go deep into the interior because you can't ignore it once they start to play the music. That's also the same with Titan. Masks do not spawn here, but you can still become one with the item. So maybe don't use the item. Or maybe do use the item if you're trolling. Like with Rend, no daytime entities, so no manticoils, bees, locusts. With Rend, there's absolutely no turrets, and you don't even need an education to count the number of landmines because there's a max of 3. On the other hand, Dine, you need a PhD because the number of turrets and landmines goes crazy. This is the only moon to have a minimum number of landmines of 7. The max is 35 and an average of 17, which is the highest out of all moons by far. For turrets, there's a minimum of 3. The max turrets is 18 with an average of 6. Okay, so not Titan levels, but still crazy. Dine's indoors are not so big, with a multiplier of 1.3, which is only a little bit bigger than Rend's 1.2. A lot smaller than Titan's 2.35, that's for sure. In terms of min and max scraps, there's not much to say. Dine's got a little bit higher min and max scrap than Rend's and fewer scrap than Titan. The one thing going for Dine is that its scrap density is the highest out of all moons, slightly above Rend's. This means it's easier to find scrap because 1, there's a lot of scrap, and 2, the interior size is small. Compare that to Titan, which has the most scrap, but also the biggest interior, so it's a lot harder to find scrap on Titan. Dine can be eclipsed and flooded. There's a blizzard moon, so visibility and hearing are not so good. Dogs and forest keepers are unaffected, so forest keepers can see you before you see them. Yeah, should this be nerfed? For flooded weather, you'll want to quickly loot the main entrance and leave before 11 AM or 12 PM, before you get trapped. The fire exit though is at a higher elevation, so you can go there without worrying about drowning. So you can do that right after looting main. Here's how far the flood goes until midnight. For eclipse weather, there's a minimum immediate spawn count, say that 3 times fast, for indoor entities of 4 and outdoor entities of 4. That means there are 4 indoor entities that will spawn when you land, and the same goes for outdoor entities. But the power levels and max power still have higher control. So for outdoor entities, there can't be 4 because the max outdoor power doesn't allow more than 3 to spawn, as we covered before. Dine cannot be stormy compared to Rend and Titan, so you don't have to worry about getting struck by lightning. Dine can be flooded, and not Rend or Titan, but that's definitely a lot easier to handle. You just need to keep an eye out for time. The item dropship is pretty close to the ship. The log is just above the main entrance. Dine is definitely easier than Titan, with smaller indoors and fewer hazards, but it's not as rewarding. It is a tougher version of its stepsister Rend, with the hazards, jesters, and lack of outdoor obstacles. I covered Rend in another video, and that's on screen right now. Click it to see how the stepsister compares to other moons.